Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, where I will be interviewing Megan, a fellow addiction expert, and also somebody who has recently discovered that carbs might just be the missing link, especially if you've been doing keto or carnivore diets for an extended period of time, or maybe even if you just started doing them. So, hi, Megan. Thank you so much for accepting my invite. Can you share a little bit about your background and your transformation lately, which you're looking phenomenal?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. So, I've actually been in the health space probably for about 15 years, but I did not go full time into coaching probably up until 6 years ago. So believe it or not, I had a very disordered relationship with food, probably from age 9 up until age 30. Really terrible binge eating, food addiction, bulimia, all of the things. And it really got out of control in my 30s. And I kind of had a aha moment. I would actually call it a God moment, where it was a day that I had binged, purged over and over and over and over again, where I had lost count. And it was just, he spoke to me and was like, Megan, if you don't get it together, like, you're going to die. And my parents had been living the keto lifestyle for quite some time, had amazing results with it. And I actually made fun of them for many years because I was CrossFit junkie, fitness addict, and was like, you guys are crazy. You need carbohydrates. Like, you're out of your mind. But when I hit rock bottom, I was willing to try just about everything. And I also felt like a total fraud in that moment in time because I had been preaching health and wellness and, live that healthy lifestyle, but I was so far from healthy. And so, like I said, I was willing to do everything. I enrolled myself in a ketogenic food addiction course, and I did that for about 6 years. And keto and carnivore, I am not discrediting it at all. It was an amazing tool for me. It helped me in so many ways until it didn't anymore. And so recently, I would actually say for the last year, I've been kind of reintroducing things. But when you have struggled with an ED or any kind of addictive tendencies, it can be very, very, very scary to add in certain things. And I say that because when you have literally crawled yourself out of darkness and have gotten to a good place, you're like, oh my gosh, like, well, what if I start bringing this in? Is all hell going to break loose?
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest wake up moments for me was I have a friend who's a registered dietitian who her views are very aligned with mine because I don't agree with many registered dietitians, but this one in particular, I do. And we were at a conference in the summertime, and she was like, Megan, you're just using carnivore as a band aid. And I almost got a little defensive, but it kind of hit me hard. I'm like, damn, she's right. Because I feel like I was using carnivore because it was a safety net for me. It was safe. Because I was just so terrified of reintroducing some more things that I knew probably I really needed to start bringing in because my health was really starting to suffer.
Mhm. From carnivore.
Yeah, from being so low carb for so long.
Yeah.
So I would say I wasn't full carnivore for the full like 6 years.
Yeah.
Um, so I would do periods of like either keto, very low carb, or carnivore. And back in January, I said, I'm going to, because typically every January I'll do a strict 90 days dairy free carnivore, just because that's what I do every year. And January came around, and I kid you not, I was literally gagging at the thought of another steak, which that to me, like, I like beef, I like steak, but that was a red flag for me because I'm like, my body is like trying to tell me something, but I still mentally wasn't ready to reintroduce like what I'm eating now, which we can talk about in a minute. But so I didn't do the strict carnivore, but I was still like on the keto line of things. And then even in the springtime, I did carnivore for a little while. My energy was terrible. I had even did a podcast how I talked about where it shut off food noise, and it really does. But I want to argue now that I think a lot of food noise is like your body telling you you need some more things in the diet.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you're not eating drug foods, it will shut off the food noise, but I think you will still have a lot of days where you're just white knuckling it. And at least that's my experience. Since reintroducing carbs, I never white knuckle anything anymore. It is insane. It's so crazy to me and it's so frustrating and makes my blood boil that for the last 10 years I was so afraid of carbohydrates. First keto and then carnivore. And it's like, oh my gosh, insulin's gonna make you fat. Only
Mm,
after tracking my data, because I really wanted to get even fitter. When you're on social media and being always scrutinized and, you see that the people with the bigger accounts, they have even more definition. It's only natural to always want more. And so definitely by trying to do it that way, like I had to really track everything. I was like, okay, this is how much this is the physique that I want to get to in a month, right? And I tracked everything, everything, everything. Like no carbohydrate inside, no insulin spike in sight. And the
mm.
scale isn't moving. And I know that the calorie deficit, like, and it's easy for me to create all those calorie deficits and track everything. I've been doing it for decades, right? So that was like it was just undeniable proof that for me it's the metabolism, and for all everybody pretty much it's like you got to speed up the metabolism. That's it. That's how you never plateau, and that's how as you raise your metabolism more and more and more, you keep getting shredded and shredded and shredded, and at the same time you look amazing because you have more and more muscle. Like
Yeah.
that's it, and you get to eat more and you feel happier and you're
I was
basically
just gonna say that you get to eat more food and you're not like surviving off of 1,200 calories or something absolutely ridiculous. Like and that's the thing. It's like now I'm eating plenty
yeah,
of food. Some days, like I have to actually, because I am tracking right now, and like I have found it so funny. Like it honestly blows my mind how some people can really, and I get it. Like I'm not making fun of anybody right now, but like for me when like people are like, oh, easy ways to get protein in, like that was never an issue for
all
me. Like
right.
that's actually like super easy. And when I've done this transition, getting carbohydrates in was difficult
Yeah,
because when you're eating a whole foods diet and you're not eating like processed carbs and you have to eat a certain amount of calories, you're like, damn, like this is a
yeah.
lot of food.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Once I get my clients to exactly what you just mentioned, it is such a life-changing moment for them when they're like, wow, because when you stick to whole foods, that's the issue, being able to eat enough of those foods in one day to hit your nutrient needs, your protein needs, all that stuff, right? Whereas in the past, it was always like, how can I restrict more? How like maybe fast and then have one big meal and to just to feel trying to feel satiated. And now it's the complete opposite. It's like, I have to force myself to have a pre-workout snack so I can work out right, It's a
Did you
completely
notice like when you started eating more carbs? I don't know about you, but like I was actually telling Zane this recently. Like I'll go into the gym and I'll lift weights and I'll pick some of them up and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, these are wicked light." Because my energy and my strength is like I'm so strong right now because I was feeling so weak when I wasn't giving my body what it
yes.
needed. And thank God, like I continued to show up in the gym, but it was like hardcore struggle
Just
body.
pushing it.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. I've added more muscle because it's easy now to push more. It's easy now to
Yeah.
go that one more rep. So it's like
Yeah.
adding muscle like crazy on just the hip thrust machine. In less than a month, I was like every week I was adding 40 pounds, 40 pounds, 40 pounds. Like, holy, like when is this gonna plateau? I
Yeah.
don't want
You're
it
like,
to
oh my
plateau.
God.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So
No, and I think too, like for me, I was also noticing like not just my energy was terrible, but I mean my thyroid was really pooping the bed on me.
yes,
Hair loss,
yes.
just not feeling like myself. I couldn't lose weight. And like you know very well, like when you are a walking billboard for your business and you're in the health and fitness space,
Right.
like you it's important that you look good. Sorry, like maybe that sounds a little vain, but not even just that, but it's like as me as a healthy person, like I'm like here I am doing all of the things and the weight is creeping on. Like what is going on? I couldn't even lose, I kid you not, like I couldn't lose 2 pounds like all year. And recently I finally have gotten to over the last couple of months getting my macros to where they are. I'm eating more, the scale is dropping, body composition is dropping. And I'm like, who would have ever thought adding more carbs in would do this? Like, I'm like, I almost felt like an idiot. I'm like, and I think it's just because I don't want to say I was brainwashed because I wasn't, because keto and carnivore, they helped me. They healed me in so many ways. They've helped my clients in so many ways. And I don't want to add any discredit to there. But like I said, it's a tool for me now. It's a tool that I can utilize and have in my toolbox, but I don't think it should be a life sentence.
I could not have said everything you said any better. Exactly, like I think we agree on pretty much everything here because I did feel like, oh my gosh, I overstayed my welcome when cutting carbs, and even if I had never cut them, you could have still, for I'm talking to myself, could have still um, reversed insulin resistance just by building muscle so that whatever carbs you're eating, as long as you're whole foods, right, they can match that can match the level that you can handle as you raise the amount of muscle mass, right? Because first, every pound of muscle is going to allow you to consume an extra serving of carbohydrates, like 15 to 20, 25 grams of carbohydrates extra without spilling over. But then, as you become fitter and fitter, that same pound of muscle actually can pack even more, like hundreds, because it's
Yeah.
become a more fit pound of muscle. So it's not like it's amazing.
Yeah, and I do think too, I mean, most people that you probably work with and same as me, it's like we live in a modern world and many people's stress is through the roof,
Yes.
right? So now, you know, somebody who is dealing with chronic states of stress, poor ill health, and then we're going to be adding on even more stress with lengthy fasts, zero carb diets. I mean, I'm just learning so much right now. And I can't tell you how many light bulbs have gone off over these last couple of months. Like, oh my gosh, but that's what we do, like everyone should be, anybody who's in the health space should be continuing to learn and educate themselves. And there's no one size fits all approach. Every client is different,
Yeah, exactly. So let's say for you, you still have, let's say, hundreds and hundreds of pounds to lose, and it's very attractive to you to just eat steaks and ribeyes, and that works for you, and you're losing weight like clockwork. Do that, fine. But just know, eventually, as you get leaner and leaner, then it's going to become harder, right? Because then the body's going to start to fight you. Your metabolism is going to slow down. What keeps the metabolism firing? What speeds up the metabolism? It's muscle. So then, once you start truly training and truly paying attention to your metabolism and how you're speeding it up as you become stronger and stronger, all of a sudden you will realize the power of reintroducing carbohydrates. And, so whatever got you there does not necessarily mean it's going to get you to the next level. Just like in business, right? Every entrepreneur is like, whatever gets you to your first million is oftentimes not what's going to get you to multimillionaire or billionaire status. You have to be
yeah,
able to adapt and change really fast.
different approaches for
Yeah,
different seasons. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. I love that so much. Very similar experiences. I love that you said how scared you were. I remember crying when I would start reintroducing carbs. Not all the time, but like I would like on a specifically like stressful day or so. I was like, and I would feel this guilt because imagine being in this space teaching all my students and everybody about like that's the way to go, and all the arguments, and how it is, and then to undo that. Yeah, on some days where you're tired or fatigued, yeah, you might double guess yourself and if this is the right thing to do, so that's understandable. But you get results so fast that you're like, okay, this is it, this is the right way.
Yeah, very fast. Like within the last, I mean, I've been slowly upping them. Like I said, I was been slowly reintroducing over the year, but I didn't get super serious about it probably up until August.
Mm.
So a couple of months. And when I really locked in with the right macros, I mean, I noticed changes in like 2 weeks. Crazy.
Yeah.
And I think the crazy part about it too, it's like when you've been doing keto and carnivore for so long and you're doing all of the things and the scale isn't moving, you're still feeling like garbage. And then you tweak your macros to where they need to be, add in the things that you need. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is it. This was the missing piece.
I
You
know, I know. It's, yeah, it makes me angry actually to think about that, to be honest, you
But
know?
we're all learning. We're all learning. And I think anybody who it has been in the low carb ketogenic space, who has coached for many, many years in this particular area,
Yeah.
it does take a lot to be like, maybe this isn't the answer for everyone. Oh, and maybe it's not, maybe we really shouldn't be doing this long term, to be actually be like, hey, I'm sorry. Like maybe I misled you. I apologize. I'm a human. I'm still learning too. Like it
Yeah.
takes a lot. So like
But
never
at the same time, you can't apologize for growth, right? You're grown.
exactly
That's what you're supposed to do. So,
right. Exactly. So you have two pieces, right? You're adding in carbs as like as a human because you need them, and then you're like, oh, I'm also going to be making massive pivots and telling people like, hey, actually we're going to do things this way
yeah.
instead.
Yeah.
But once again, individuality. Like I still use keto and carnivore in my practice 100%, but
Likewise. Yeah.
the ultimate goal is to get them to whole foods.
Exactly. Like somebody who has type 2 diabetes, I will probably focus and emphasize ketosis more so in the beginning, or carnivore. But and then we can reverse diabetes. I mean, technically speaking, you don't even have to be keto, honestly, to reverse diabetes. There's the UK diabetes trial. I mean, there's tons of trials, obviously, that show that you don't necessarily have to be in a ketogenic state to reverse diabetes. You can literally just reverse it by adding more and more muscle, like just increasing your insulin sensitivity. It's just faster if you at the same time
Mm.
help the process, and do it that way. So yeah, I agree. And we've all, I feel like, come to the same conclusion, right? Keto's great, carnivore's great for their particular purposes. Or if there's a client who just really likes this way of eating, fantastic. My job is to just explain the deficiencies or what could potentially come up later on, and just to be ready for that. And if there are things they can do to minimize that risk, that's all. But I feel like the vast, vast majority of the population just wants to lose weight and be metabolically healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, I think that should be the ultimate goal.
exactly. So how was the carbs, the training is going to get you there faster. You know what it is? It's also the simplicity of the message. It's like it's so exciting or attention grabbing to just follow something that does not require work. Just eat meat and all your problems are going to be solved. Whereas what we're saying is like we want to reintroduce carbs, and trust me, you're going to actually start seeing results way faster. You're going to feel more amazing. You're going to do all those things. But now they're going to need more help, right? Because how much carbs? What type of carbs? Da, da, da. So it's like it's more work, and unless you hire help, of course. But if you don't have nutrition understanding, then it's more work on your part to try and figure out your carbohydrate tolerance at the moment. How much muscle mass do you have? Are you gaining? Are you actually training in a way that's actually leading to muscle growth over time? All those things. It's just more things to
Yeah.
look into, right? And so if somebody doesn't have access to somebody, a trainer or a coach who can guide them through that process, it can feel a little bit too much. And like, yeah, yeah.
And I think too, it's like when you do start reintroducing carbohydrates, well, fat can't stay up there, like
Right.
fat's
Good
gotta
point.
go down.
Good point.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like calories, oh my gosh, still matter.
they do matter. They do matter.
Can you believe it that we're actually debating? Like, there are actually people out there that are completely just not wanting anything to do with the whole notion of a calorie. It is
Yeah.
so wild to me. This is kind of like the double-edged sword of social media. It's like there's no more gatekeepers, so now even people with no nutrition education and no any kind of training can just say whatever they want. And if they sound confident enough, it must be true.
Yeah. I think too, like macros are, I get that not everybody wants to do them. And I get like it shouldn't have to be an everyday thing for your entire life, but when you're building foundations and you really want to know how many carbs you're eating, how many fats you're eating, how many ounces of protein you're eating. I do think it's very important. And then once you get so good at it, it becomes like, what, like, in your brain, like it definitely makes life easier to navigate. You can go travel and you can, like, okay, this is the, like, like you don't need to be obsessing about it all of the time. But I do think, like, for people who don't really know what they're actually consuming, tracking can be super eye-opening.
Just tracking alone oftentimes results in weight loss and an improved metabolism because once you start noticing how many calories are in certain foods you're eating, you quickly sometimes realize that that's just not worth the calories, you
Yeah.
know? That's
Or how little calories are in certain things, like, or just like for me, like, because I think the most it's been, like I said, it's been so eye-opening just because my carbs are significantly higher now. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I've got to eat a lot more to hit this. But I'm not binging. I'm not back into
craving.
my addictive personality, like doing things because I'm eating enough and I'm giving my body what it needs. And like there's been some comments in the food addiction space recently just about how people are like, well, if I add in zucchini or if I add in this, I'll, go off into the deep end. And I'm not talking smack on those people because I get it, because I literally was there once. I
Mm,
would, when I was not allowing to have myself certain things, like I'll give you an example. Thanksgiving every year was when I would allow myself, if I wanted to have squash and, like, the turkey dinner with all of the things. I mean, not the processed crap, but, wholesome food. And when I would allow myself, I would go overboard, like eat until I was like painfully full.
yeah,
And that in my brain was like, oh, Megan, like, no, you can't have that stuff. Like, you're going
yeah.
to binge on it. You're going to overeat it. But once I started actually allowing myself to have those things, I could have them and be on my way. And I really think that that binging almost of overeating vegetables or fruits, it's just your body saying, give them to me.
Yeah, yeah, it's natural. You restrict. Eventually, the moment you give yourself the okay, you're gonna want to make sure that you get your fill because if you're still, doing, let's say, carnivore in your mind, well, tomorrow I have to, like, I can't be touching those foods. I might as well take advantage, right? That's
Exactly.
natural. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am so glad that we are having this conversation and that it is being like a lot of attention is being poured into this because I think everybody is having the same experience, but everybody feels like they have to pretend that they're this perfect carnivore when actually, because when you coach clients, I'm sure you've had that experience as well. They tell you everything. It's like, I binged, I was having cravings, da, 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 even though they want to be carnivore, right? So when I started sharing my YouTube videos talking about how actually, I'm reintroducing carbs and like the complete shift that I have made, all of a sudden you start getting all these DMs and messages and emails from people, ex-clients of mine from years ago. They're like, oh yeah, I added last year, I started adding carbs and I feel so much better. And that thing we were trying to work on is gone. I'm like, how many of you are still carnivores then?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people, I mean, just the messages that I've been getting, I'm sure you're getting them too, like how people were suffering. Like I'm getting stories of like, oh my gosh, my thyroid, my hair, my energy. Once I started reintroducing again, I'm feeling better. And it's like, I think the one thing that upsets me the most, and I want absolutely nothing to do with it, it's just it's been really nasty in the health space lately, particularly the keto and carnivore community. And I mean, there's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat, and whatever works for you, great. But we don't need to be, being mean to one another. Or another thing, it's like, how are we really fighting about what works? When, like, if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, because I mean, a lot of people, as you know, have not been doing well with strict carnivore. It doesn't matter how you manipulate the macros, or you needed more fat, or you needed more protein. No, no, it's not about that.
Right,
Your
right.
body is tired, it's stressed.
It is, right? Or take supplements or
Yeah.
tons of electrolytes pumped with artificial sweeteners that wreck your gut health.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think the emotional reaction, to whatever somebody else's diet is, it says more about you than about the other person, right? And so, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, like the disrespect as well, putting people down be because they do not agree with your dogma. That is definitely unacceptable. And yeah, I mean, people will eventually judge, right? I mean, people are watching, they want to know what's best, and so hopefully the audience is consuming all kinds of content and they will make up their own decision,
Yep. 100%.
right? Results don't lie.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's like sometimes I think people forget. And whoever's listening, I really encourage you. Like, there's so much noise on social media. So follow who aligns with you, get rid of the rest. And like, instead of looking at what he's doing, she's doing, they're doing, it's like, look within and find out what works for you, because we're also very different.
Exactly. And also do not confuse confidence with competence. Uh, this is the biggest theme of what's happening in the carnivore community. It's like you have the most popular influencers that tend to have a lot of confidence, but the competence level does not necessarily match that. But people always will respond to confidence more so, right? It's like if somebody just sounds super confident, oftentimes you are far more likely to believe what they're saying. And there is, of course, a gender disparity here where women we destroy their confidence with misogynistic microaggressions from the moment they are born, to the point where you enter the workplace and you're trying to compete with a boy that was never exposed to that. So you have to get your confidence level to be 100 times higher, and you might still struggle with your confidence, whereas their competence, they don't feel like they have to work on it as hard because they're already super confident and they can already get ahead and get those leadership positions or become more popular, whichever, niche they're in. And so I think that was probably also a big thing that I fell for, because whether you're female or male doesn't matter. We all have this internal bias in us that we confuse confidence for competence, and that's probably why we hear all of these male doctors talking about keto or carnivore or whatever, and it's like, oh, that makes sense, that makes sense, you sound so, it's like that, something now that's like, that is the answer.
Mm.
And then you wreck your health. And where are the women? Because if we had, I trust me, if we had women in those positions, I think the conversation would have been very different. Because for a woman to reach that position, do you know how much criticism she would be under? Do you know how much more competent she would have to be just to break even? Like, she will know her facts. And so then I could trust that way more, right off the bat. Whereas now I'm just training myself. You know what? Just do more research. Does that person suffer from
Yeah.
that gap? Or is it, yeah? So, or is it real confidence?
Right. Right.
Anyway, I went off on a rant, but I think that's probably the root of it all, the root of
Yeah.
why we're here having this conversation to begin with, and the root for why people probably are still suffering.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? I know you have to go, right? Because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
2 o'clock. Yeah. Where can people find you and work with you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I'm most active on Instagram at megan.alice, Meghann.Alice. I also have a podcast called Megan Unfiltered. You can find me there. I've taken this last month off, but I will be getting back to that soon. But you can still find a bunch of different episodes on there. So please reach out if you want to chat. I was happy to help you any way I can.
Nice. And your direct link will be posted in the description box below so people can find it very easily and connect with you. Thank you so much, Megan, for sharing your story with everybody. And is there anything else you want to leave the audience with?
Listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to its needs, and just drown out all of the noise. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us till the end. If you enjoyed this kind of content, let us know by giving this YouTube video a thumbs up, subscribing, and hitting that little notification bell icon so YouTube alerts you every time I post a new video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.